Well, here on Abridge Avenue in Egham, local residents are still trying to rescue their possessions if they're leaving. Some of them have still been hanging on in here, and we'll have the story of this street a little bit later on in the programme. But the disruption to transport links and power supplies across the country has continued. One man was killed at Macclesfield in Cheshire when he swerved to avoid a fallen tree and crashed into another vehicle. While some rail services have been restored, there are still many cancellations and delays, and 56,000 people are still without power following the storms. Our reporter Kieran Jenkins is at the Scottish Power headquarters at Llandudno.
Well, we're still just about finding our feet here after yesterday's weather. I've experienced many a wet Wednesday in Wales, and I've never seen anything quite like it. I mean, we're still feeling the effects of it, really. If I just show you this monitor here, this is the power supply for North Wales and Merseyside. Those flashing lights tell us that there are major problems, and that's borne out in the at its peak yesterday. The storm that ripped through Britain has left plenty to clear up. There's widespread damage. Dozens of roads are blocked. In North Wales, the recovery is still at a very early stage.
It was difficult to stand up. We were coming out onto the site to have a look at what was going on, and it was really difficult. There was no chance that we could clear over any trees in that sort of weather.
Last night's storm completely knocked the power out of these cables, and as we've been driving through Snowdonia this afternoon, we've passed through village after village with no electricity. And all the signs are that they're going to be in darkness again tonight. There are engineers in the most remote places, but they're up against it. Conditions won't be this good for long. You must hate listening to the weather report and you hear there's more storms coming tomorrow.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I think with the potential amount of people that's off already, it's going to take some time to get these people back on, and having a storm again tomorrow is not going to be the best way about doing these things.
This was Blackpool last night. Another storm like this is not what Britain needs. The famous pier took a battering.
Heartbreaking, it's devastating. You know, this is going to take 3 years to get the finances to do this job. It's going to put us back 3 years. We've had a bit more steel go. We've had the back of the theatre, some of the panels ripped off. We've got glass, loads of glass gone again. Decking's come up again.
At this bridal shop in Solihull, it was the roof that came off. While in Manchester, residents were left stranded when a stairwell was ripped from their building.
It was really like being in the middle of a tornado. Like, me and my housemate, we were literally shouting for our lives over there. It's very scary.
It was a once-in-a-generation storm. Surely there can't be another one tomorrow. Well, we've got wind coming in the south tomorrow. Up here, it could be snow and rain, and the fear is among the people who work here that that could put the recovery effort back again, and people could be without power for many days yet. Local rail services are still badly affected. National rail services are generally clear, as are the motorways. There could be more disruption tomorrow, though.
Well, today brought welcome respite in most places from the rain, but water falling from the sky isn't the only problem. Groundwater flooding, where the saturated earth simply can't absorb any more water, is continuing to cause havoc to people's homes. Our science editor Tom Clark looks now at the phenomenon with the help of a state-of-the-art drone camera.
River levels in the Thames are as high or higher than they have been in at least 60 years. Since then, street upon street has sprung up in Thames Valley towns like Windsor, Staines and Egham. And these houses are experiencing a totally new kind of flooding. The sheer volume of water coming down the Thames is pushing up groundwater. It's seeping up beneath homes, garages and gardens, seemingly at random. From above, you can see just how indiscriminate groundwater flooding can be. This garden's got at least a foot of water in it, but on the street outside, it's completely dry. And because this groundwater flooding doesn't come directly from the river or drain back into it, you can see how our sodden country, groundwater like this, could persist for weeks, if not months. On this street in Thames and in flooded communities along the Thames, people want to know just how long they'll be underwater and what, if anything, can be done to prevent flooding like this in future. But right now, the hydrologists that study these things can't tell them.
So this is a borehole called Till's Head.
They've been recording groundwater levels from boreholes for a long time. Some records go back more than a century, and they've never seen anything like this before.
We began to get some recharge in November and December, but nothing particularly spectacular, and then wham, straight up.
Even high up the Thames Valley in rural Oxfordshire, water is welling up out of the ground.
Probably a bit better, yeah.
Instruments like this can measure how fast it's moving. But in built-up areas like Staines, where they've never seen it before, they don't know exactly how it will behave.
The amount of rainfall that we've had during January and it looks like we're going to have during February, it's so exceeded anything that we've seen before, it's inevitably going to show us things about the groundwater system that we didn't know before because we've never seen it. We think that the gravels are going to make the flooding persist for a period of weeks, months, or maybe a month at the outside. But in catchments like this, which is chalk, and this is a chalk groundwater flood, the flooding can persist for 2 or 3 months.
And with more rain on the way, the groundwater we normally never think about could really start making itself noticed.
If we get the expected rainfall over the next 3 or 4 days, it's going to do nothing but make the flooding situation worse. There are other factors. We've seen in recent days, we've seen some swallow holes open up, and there's an increased risk of landslide whenever you have saturated soils.
There is a lot to learn from this flood. Urban groundwater has never been something engineers have had to worry about on this scale before. Just one more challenge that has to be addressed if we're going to defend infrastructure and homes from new flood threats. Tom Clark, Channel 4 News in the Thames Valley.